Reception desk. I'll send him right up. Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
You can go right up.
Thank you very kindly.
Excuse me. Is there any word on me yet?
Let's see. You're Mr. Hacker.
No. Mr. Cutter. Barney Cutter, McMaster's Manufacturing.
Oh, of course. See Mr. Walker.
No, Mr. Trotter.
Joe? Mr.
Cutter.
Cutter is still waiting to see Mr. Trotter? I see. Mr. Trotter was in his office, but he was called out to an operations meeting.
Did she say when you'll be back?
No telling. Why don't you try again? Early in the morning.
No, that's not the right time to call on Mr. Trotter.
Well, why don't you call his secretary and discuss it with her? I'm sure you can find a good time.
Well, maybe I'll just pass him up this trip.
Well, that's up to you. May I have your visitor's badge, please?
What? Oh, sure.
Hold it right there. I just heard a sales myth.
What is,
Freeze the action, please. Can you fine-tune the time base, please?
Stand by for fine-tuning.
My voice is booming a bit. Ah, that's better. Can you put in the title over this long shot?
All right. Stand by for title.
Oh, and unfreeze Mr. Hacker.
Cutter.
Whatever.
what happened?
Nothing important. I just stopped time for a moment.
Just booming voice, and then everything went kind of funny, you know? You did what?
Stop time.
That's impossible. Right?
Well, I didn't really stop it. I just slowed it down relative to my time. You see?
What's wrong with her?
Not a thing, in my view.
How come all these people are standing around like they're frozen?
I just explained all that. They are moving very, very slowly, you see?
Who are you?
A fair question. You can call me Mark. I just
Look, Mark, I really don't know what this is all about, but,
I am trying to explain. And don't worry about these people. When I unfreeze them, they'll just... You can call me Mark.
Look, Mark, I really don't know what this is all about, but,
I am trying to explain. And don't worry about these people. When I unfreeze them, they'll just think they had a momentary touch of vertigo.
Vertigo.
It's you we have to worry about.
Me?
You see, you're today's subject for our sales meeting.
I'm what?
You're today's subject for our sales meeting.
Look, you're not filming me or something. I mean, this isn't a motion picture or television or something, is it?
No, nothing like that. It's real-a-vision.
Real or what?
Real-a-vision. I'm the director. And believe me, it's tougher to direct people in real life than it is actors. Mark time in this situation for a while.
Marking time.
Now, I want to talk with you about your role as a salesman.
Role? No, I am a salesman in real life. I mean, I'm not an actor in a play or anything.
And I'm a sales manager in real life. But it's still a role we play, and some of us play it better than others. You've got to have the right motivations. You've got to have the right lines. You've got to know how to play each selling situation. The only difference is that in real life, you can't afford to make mistakes. It hits you right in the pocketbook. Stand by to switch over to the real-time terminal, please.
Standing by.
Now, I want to rehearse you a bit.
Look, Mark, is it?
Hit it. This way, please. Prepare to activate, please.
Look, Mark, I don't know what this is all about, but, What's all this?
This is our time terminal. We can replay real-time situations over there, past, present, and future. The memory bank units. Activate, please. The cathode ray tube myth analyzer. You see, I am from your future, my present, and we're studying actual case histories from our past, your present. Do you mind if I get into something a little more appropriate for your present? Fix me up with clothes for this period, please.
Stand by for clothing time change.
Now then, kind of overshot the period, didn't you?
Sorry. Stand by for correction.
Now then, you're one of the most popular subjects for our sales meetings.
I am? Oh.
You're a classic case.
Classic case of what?
Let's look at the actual vision screen.
No, that's not the right time to see Mr. Trotter.
Remember saying that, Barney?
Yeah.
That's a sales myth.
A salesman.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to talk to you about. You're a classic case of a salesman who constantly falls victim to sales myths.
Look, this is all very interesting, but I still have another call to make. And any later than 4 o'clock isn't the right time to see this particular buyer. My watch stopped.
Not really. Just slow down. You have all the time in the world to make that call. I guarantee it. But did you just hear what you said?
My watch stopped?
Just before that, you said...
And any later than 4 o'clock isn't the right time to see this particular buyer.
That's the sales myth we were talking about.
Yeah, but any salesman knows that there's a right time and a wrong time to see certain customers.
Salesman's myth. And most sales myths are the enemy of time, your time. That's what makes your case so interesting. I've never heard so many myths and seen one man run out of as much time as you do.
What do you mean by myths?
Maybe we better define our terms.
Yeah.
Myth. A story of unknown origin passed down from person to person over a long period of time. It is generally fictitious and has been created to explain something otherwise difficult to justify. In common usage, a myth has come to include any belief which, when held up to the cold light of logic, proves not to be true.
How'd you do that?
Just suspended your time while I walked to and from the bookshelf.
Oh.
But that's not important. What is important is to explode some of those sales myths which waste your time. Let's hold your "there is a right time to see a customer" myth up to the cold light of logic. Take your Mr. Trotter. When's the right time to see him? 8 o'clock?
Oh, it's too early. He hasn't even looked at the messages on his desk.
How about 9 o'clock?
No, that's when he opens his mail.
10 o'clock?
Coffee break?
11?
Well, that's when he makes his phone calls, and then he goes to lunch.
1 o'clock?
Long lunch.
2?
Well, he gets kind of logy after lunch.
3?
Well, see, he's usually in a meeting, like today.
4?
You know how those meetings drag on?
5?
Time to head home.
You just ran out of time.
Well, sometimes you can catch him around 2:30, but that's not really the best time.
Apparently, no time is the right time to see Mr. Trotter.
By golly, I think you're right.
What about days?
Oh, no, that's another problem. Mondays and Fridays are always lousy. And Tuesdays...
Hold it. Barney, whether you're talking about the time of the day or the days of the week, it's the same myth. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I've heard you say, well, they're not buying right now, or his budget's kind of tight right now, or maybe I should wait till after the holidays.
And that's the same myth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You see, Barney, it's not that you feel that the time isn't right for the customer, but that you feel the time isn't right for you. Let's use the cathode ray tube myth analyzer.
Okay.
Stand by for the myth sequence, please. When you say, this isn't the right time to see this customer, what you're really saying is...
I'm going to put that call off till some other time. I am?
You are.
Why would I do that?
Any one of a number of reasons. Maybe he's a tough customer. Maybe you're simply afraid of the outcome.
Well, maybe it really isn't the right time to see him.
Maybe. There's a grain of truth underlying most myths. One particular customer may have a rigid office routine that reduces his available time to see salesmen. But he's going to be the exception. So try to get on his calendar at his convenience. If you can't, well, you're a salesman. Sell him on a time. Make him bend his habits to fit you in. But usually, the problem is you.
It's me.
Mm-hmm. You lack two important qualities, confidence and enthusiasm. That makes you susceptible to the myth that this isn't the right time to call on your customer.
Well, let's just say you're right, for the sake of argument. How do I get this confidence and enthusiasm?
From preparation. Thorough preparation before each sales call will make any salesman confident and enthusiastic. So do your homework. Go in armed with the best proposal and proposition you can. Then you will have confidence and enthusiasm.
Then I'll be ready.
Willing and able. So, when this myth comes up, change it to this truth. Any time you can get in to see a customer is the right time. It may be the only time, so you better make the most of it. Just don't kid yourself about waiting for a better time.
I guess what it really boils down to then is the more calls you make, the more sales you make.
Uh-oh.
What was that?
My mythometer. You just came up with another myth.
Who says that's a myth?
That's one of the men in the sales meeting. Come on up here, Fred.
Okay. Look, I'm an assistant sales manager.
And you're always telling your men that the more calls they make, the more sales they make.
Right.
Well, we sales managers and assistants, too, fall victim to the same myths. And we have a few of our own.
And you're saying that that's a sales myth?
One of the biggest. Sales is not a numbers game, Fred.
Look, if I can get my guys to make the calls, the sales will take care of themselves.
Oh, no, you don't really believe that. Not really.
Well, sure I do.
Let's put it up on the CRT. The more calls you make, the more sales you make. Now, there are two hidden sales messages in there. Let's decode them. Make more calls, period. Make more sales, period. One doesn't necessarily follow the other. Remember this?
Yeah, it's my call report for the week of the 14th. I covered a lot of territory that week.
You certainly did. You're an assistant sales manager, Fred. Say you just got that call report. Your initial reaction?
Not bad. More than 6 calls a day.
Yeah, my sales manager thought so, too. He mentioned it at the weekly sales meeting.
Except
what?
Except for this scribbling here at the bottom of the page.
Send more business cards? What about it?
I'd liked it better if you'd said send more order forms.
Well, it wasn't a good week for sales.
Oops, that's another myth, but we'll skip over it.
Look, Barney, that request for more business cards should have been a red flag for your sales manager. Sales just don't happen. You have to make them happen. That takes time. Time to prepare yourself for each individual call. Time to make each call a sales call. And let's be sure we don't forget it is a sales call and not just a visit.
Right. Making more calls means quantity. Making more sales means quality. We want quantity plus quality. What you really mean to say is make more quality sales calls.
Yeah.
That's the truth. It takes the balance between quantity and quality.
Yeah, well, that's what I really meant.
But that isn't what you said. And that's how sales myths get started, by oversimplifying, overstating, overlooking.
Well, there's no doubt that a contact report can become a con sheet. It can con the sales manager into thinking that his salesmen are out there working the territory. And it can con the salesman into thinking that he's really doing the job.
Mm-hmm. So what do you do?
Well, first, Don't. Don't try to set new records for the number of calls you can make. Remember, it's not the number of calls you make that adds up to more sales. It's the number of good calls. Do single out the best possible prospects. Not because they're close by or easy to see and friendly, but because they represent the best potential sales. Do prepare for each sales call. And do take the time to sell each customer.
Make more good sales calls. Balance quantity with quality.
Right.
Another myth exploded. See you around, Fred.
One thing, though. You have to spend more time preparing new prospects than you do your established customers.
We'll let that one go.
No, I mean you have to spend more of your time developing new business.
We'll let that one go, too.
Now, look, your regular customers are already sold. So, I mean, once a customer, always a customer.
Oh, I just can't let that one go. Actually, everything you said is part and parcel of the same myth. Once a customer, always a customer. There's your myth.
Well, there are exceptions to every rule.
That's not a rule. That's another excuse for not doing something.
Like what?
Remember a call you made on a Tuesday afternoon about a month ago your time?
Well, I made a lot of calls last month.
Especially during the week of the 14th. That was when you were trying to make the Guinness Book of World Records.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe this will refresh your memory. Hi, Barney.
Hey, Charlie, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good. What brings you around?
Well, Charlie, I was just in the neighborhood. I thought I'd stop by and see how things are coming.
Things are coming just fine.
Busy?
As always.
You know, I've been selling a lot of these new K211s. I thought maybe it's about time we talked about it.
Why not? Let's hold it right there.
It's Charlie Miller over at Allied. He's been a good customer for years.
Did he buy?
Well, I was just touching base with him, really.
Touching base. Let's back up and start over. This time I'm going to stop the action and adjust the audio so you can hear what he's really saying. Not the words you heard come out of his mouth, but the words bouncing around in the back of his head. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi,
Hey,
Barney.
Charlie, how you doing? Good to see you.
What brings you around? Stop. Look and listen. Hi, Barney. Finally got around to seeing me, did you?
Well, Charlie, I was just in the neighborhood. I thought I'd stop by and see how things are coming.
Things are coming just fine. This is what he was really saying. Things are fine now. But where were you when I needed you?
Busy?
As always. No thanks to you.
You know, I've been selling a lot of these new K211s.
That's what I hear.
I thought maybe it's about time we talked about it.
Why not? Why? While you were out calling on other customers, a couple of salesmen who seemed a little hungrier came in. You're coming in last, so you're going to have to go some to make a better pitch than they did. You know what he's really saying underneath all this?
What?
Barney, you never bring me any pretty flowers.
Figuratively speaking, of course.
Oh, I see. I think.
Your relationship with a long-standing customer is like, well, like your relationship with your wife.
You want to give me a little bit more on that?
You simply can't take customers for granted any more than you can your wife.
Oh, you mean they want the courtship to continue?
Right. Just because you're Barney to him and he's Charlie to you doesn't mean that sales are automatic.
Yeah, but familiarity breeds contempt.
Wrong. And absence doesn't make the heart grow fonder either. Your established customers have given you their business, and they want something in return.
What?
Your attention. They want you to give them more attention, not less. You know, they're always comparing you with someone else who's trying to woo their business, and you can't afford to come up short. Look, the myth. Once a customer, always a customer, is an excuse to take your regular customers for granted. Don't take your regular customers for granted. Do sell your old customers just as hard as your new prospects. That's the truth of the matter.
I can attest to that.
Who said that?
Me.
Rudy?
Yeah, Rudy Potter.
Of course.
There's no room in business for friendship. What I mean is, he's not going to buy from you just because he knows you. Price is the only thing he cares about. Look, you're not going to take the word of some electronic gadget over my nearly 30 years' experience in selling. Believe me, price is the only thing that counts these days.
Well, that's why you put off the price question till you have your buyer nodding yes to all the things that your product's going to do for him.
Well, that's some of the stuff they feed you at sales meetings. But the fact is, price is always lurking in back of the buyer's mind during the sale. Yeah, how come your gadget didn't sound off then, huh?
Because there's more truth in that than fiction, which is why you have to whet his appetite for your product.
Look, I don't care where you quote the price, in the beginning, the middle, or the end. That's when good old-fashioned sales resistance comes to the surface.
Usually, that's when the buyer says, "Convince me to part with my money." He has to make the decision to buy, and he wants to make sure it's the right decision. But that's not what's bothering you, is it?
What do you mean?
Well, the moment of decision for him is the moment of truth for you. Everything hinges on price. I didn't mean that. I meant that you feel it's swim or sink time when you quote price. Let's explode a few sales myths. Price is the only thing that counts these days. Now, that could be an excuse for not doing a full sales presentation. But as often as not, it's an excuse after the fact for not having made the sale.
Oh, come on. 30 years selling experience? That's not my problem.
No. Your problem is that you think that price is the only thing that counts. You think so. Your customer may or may not think so. Did you ever suffer from stage fright?
I've never been on the stage in my life.
Maybe when you had to make a speech, say, in front of a group of salesmen?
Well, sure, you get pre-speech jitters.
What about 30 years ago?
You mean when I made my first sales presentation?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got kind of nervous. In fact, I was scared stiff.
Still just a bit nervous when you call on a new prospect?
Yeah, I suppose. That's kind of that's the excitement of selling.
How about when you quote the price?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes. Let me show you a couple of those times.
The price? Yeah, the price is, $49 per unit.
What did you say?
Yeah, $14.98.
In all fairness, that was a while ago. Here's how we did it last week.
The price? $18.50 per unit. Price has gone up.
So is your voice. You have price fright.
What?
Price fright.
Price fright?
Mm-hmm. A salesman's version of stage fright. Usually an affliction of younger salesmen. But it's apt to affect all of us from time to time, especially when we think that price is the only thing that counts. So, don't let price fright get you.
How?
Simple. Do quote the price quietly.
It's easy to say.
Easy to do. When you quote price, simply do it in an easy, offhand manner, like it was part of the sale, which it is, a natural part.
You mean don't hem, don't haw, and don't make too little or too much of it, right?
That's the idea. Keep it in perspective.
Okay. I'll work on it.
Don't work on it. Just don't make a big deal out of it.
Okay. Hey, thanks for the time.
Hmm?
I didn't want to say anything, but what do you say to someone who has price fright because they believe their competition has a better price, or a better feature, or better quality? Or better acceptance in the marketplace? Come on, these things could happen.
Sure, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. We call this sales myth. Competition has a better, you fill in the blank. Better price, better feature, better quality, better acceptance, better reputation, better model. You name it according to your worst fears.
But there are differences.
Of course. But in a competitive marketplace, all these things tend to equal out. You have something to offer, so does your competition. Maybe he has price, you have quality. He has one feature, you have another. So?
So, sell what you got, huh?
Sure. Basic salesmanship, too.
Yeah.
Most salesmen can handle real differences. A lot of them just can't handle imagined differences. Here, let me show you something. Suppose you sell pies, frisbees, clocks, donuts.
Frisbees?
Yeah, use your imagination. There's your product in the center on the left. There's your competitor's product in the center on the right. Now, which is larger?
Well, all right, I'll play along with you. That one.
They're exactly the same size.
Yeah, but it's an optical illusion. I mean, you can do the same thing with donuts.
We're talking about a myth of the mind, a mental illusion.
Yeah, but I don't sell donuts or frisbees. And believe me, my main problem is not product. It's the competitive salesman. He's everywhere at once.
Okay. There's you. There's your competition. Walks pretty tall in your mind, but look.
I know. It's my illusion. So how do I see things as they really are?
How'd you like to meet your competition, face to face? Barney, meet Joe Caldwell.
He looks pretty big to me.
So, you're my competition.
That's my line.
Barney, you sure keep me hopping.
You do the same to me, Joe.
Well, I like to have some of your product advantages, I'll tell you.
You keep saying the same thing I want to say. I wish I had some of your features to sell.
I have an idea. Why don't you two change jobs? You know, wear the other guy's shoes for a while. See what it's like on the other side of the fence.
Well,
I kind of like my product.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, I thought you both felt the other had all the best of it.
Well, not all. Maybe some advantages.
I don't have exactly the same features, but...
Last chance. Want to switch?
I think I'll pass.
Me too.
But I do appreciate the chance to size up my competition.
Yeah, it's been illuminating.
Goodbye, Joe.
Goodbye.
You know, I'm not really so sure that he does have a better product.
It's a myth. Keep in mind that you're his competition just as he is yours. The grass looks greener to him, too. The myth is a rationale for the fact that competition is getting a piece of the action, too. The truth is, competition has competition. You. Don't forget that you are the competition. Sell your advantages.
All right. You made your point. A lot of things that salesmen give lip service to are myths.
And any myth is an excuse, a rationale to cover up. It keeps you from facing the truth, what action you ought to take.
Yeah, but I wish I had one of those.
You do. Your brain. In fact, it's a lot more sophisticated. So when you hear yourself coming up with a pat saying about sales, run it through your mind, question it, analyze it, replace it with the truth of the matter, then sell accordingly.
I will. Believe me, I will. But I still can't get over all this, you know?
Time tripping?
Yeah.
You won't remember any of it, because when I return you to your own real time, none of it will have happened.
Well, what about what I've learned?
You haven't learned anything you didn't already know somewhere inside of you. All we did was bring it out in the open.
Look, I'm glad that I've been part of this Real-A-Vision sales meeting.
Our pleasure.
But I really do have to get back.
Something you left undone.
Yes.
Stand by for a time-based correction, please.
Standing by.
Let's roll that time back a few seconds. Then you hit it.
Activating now.
May I have your visitor's badge, please?
What? Oh, sure. Do you mind if I call the secretary up and see if I can get a good time on Mr.
Walker.
No, Trotter.
Anytime you can get in to see him is a good time.
You can say that again. Jill, this is Barney Cutter. Listen, could you look over Mr. Trotter's calendar and find a good time for me to see him?